What are your thoughts on what we saw today? We saw the market down about 1% after moving up close to about 9%. What are your thoughts on this correction, so to speak, or this pullback? Was it something you anticipated?
Yeah, the pullback was anticipated because if you look at the market in the last 4 or 5 trading sessions, we've seen some strong gains. Cumulatively, the market gained close to 9%. So from the trend we saw yesterday, though still strong, but the gains were a little bit less than what we saw in the previous day. So you would have expected that this kind of correction would come at this time.
But who exactly is selling? Is it more of the short-term speculators, or are we seeing a few of the internationals, which we know obviously have been supporting demand recently? Are they the ones selling now, or who exactly is selling?
Feelers we got from the brokers are that most of the sales were coming in from institutional investors. We saw heavy sales on the likes of Zenith Bank and First Bank, and of course Nigerian breweries. Like I said, many of the brokers are of the opinion that many of the institutionals are selling. These are people who got in probably sometime last week or some weeks earlier, have probably enjoyed the ride of the last 5 trading sessions and are quick to cash in on that.
Indeed, that pullback was anticipated. But where do we go from here? Where do you see this market over the rest of this week?
For me, I really think we will probably not see declines as we had seen in the last couple of weeks, primarily because Q3 numbers, particularly for the banks, are around the corner. We're expecting strong numbers from the likes of First Bank, from the likes of UBA to see improved numbers, and a host of the other mid-tier banks as well. So my take is that we'll probably see maybe the market trade sideways for a week or two, and then by the 3rd week, when we are expecting to see many of these Q3 numbers coming, there will be some reaction to those numbers. But of course, from then on to the year end, I think we'll probably just see more sideways trading in the market, given the fact that we are going into the festive period. Lots of investors would like to close their books. Lots of the local investors would like to just wrap things up for the year and go and enjoy the holidays.
Indeed, I think many people are looking towards next year. And of course, another headwind that this market is still trying to navigate through is the issue of the resolution of the rescued banks. And we do a very interesting figure, which I'm sure would have drawn your attention. 3 trillion naira is the figure that the incoming chairman of AMCON indicated is the value of Turkey's assets. I think the figure that I have heard in the past was somewhere around 1.5 trillion. Was that a huge surprise to you?
I was a bit disturbed with that data, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the entire industry, customer loans in the entire industry is somewhere just around 10 trillion. Yeah, and then from what we gathered in the Q2 results, the net loans for these troubled banks cumulatively is somewhere around 1.5 trillion. And I'm thinking if 3 trillion is their total bad asset for just the 10 banks, and I think there's a probably Belgore is being misquoted, or I don't know, somebody will need to come in and clear out the air, because the numbers just don't add up.
They don't add up.
At all, they don't.
No, you have a good point there. But but going by those numbers, I think it really just magnifies the problem. How will AMCON be able to intervene into these banks and provide as much as 3 trillion in support? I mean, it's going to be difficult, won't it?
It's going to be really difficult, because I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, the 3 trillion quoted was probably, even if you put in total industry bad loans at that, I think that will really be pushing it. If we look at it, many of the banks have claimed they've made recoveries. Of course, we know the CBN mandated many of these banks to sell down on some of the assets. So one would expect bad loans to actually have reduced from the figures we had been presented before. But like you said, 3 trillion, a whole lot of money. I think the asset management company is going to have his hands full in trying to come up with that sum to clear out the bad debts in the market.
Indeed. But I think one positive note, though, is that it seems like AMCON is going to start working pretty soon. But, and having said that, what are your thoughts on the rescued banks? I know that it has been on the back burner recently, but with AMCON coming into play very soon, would you say that one can consider buying any of these rescued banks?
For me right now, the rescued bank, I would not buy the rescued bank at this moment because we still have to go through a lot of things. We hear that there are bids for some of these banks. It's not so clear as to which ones have been bidded for, which ones are going to actually be purchased by other local or foreign banks. So it is still not clear. And judging from the situation, I guess from this comment Belgari made, even though I have some trouble with those numbers, I guess the general sense is that the bad assets out there, it's still a lot for those 10 banks. So at the moment, I don't think it makes sense to want to go into these banks. I think what investors could best do is just wait a little bit and see how developments unfold. When we begin to hear news of what banks are being, will be purchased, and we see some Q3 numbers and get a better understanding of where these banks are, I think it'll make sense to begin to call some shots then. But right now, I would stay on the sideline concerning the rescued banks.